Some are saying the Chicago White Sox are the greatest baseball team of 2025. The CHGO White Sox podcast next. This is the CHGO White Sox postgame show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Coming to you live from Studio B of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. After a Chicago White Sox winner, 1-0 and above 500 for the first time since 2023, opening day of 2023. It feels so good.
Yes.
It feels so good. Joey Christopoulos is my producer. We're going to be joined by Jared Willis a little bit later from the locker room. And spring hope's eternal. My hope is infinite. The White Sox, Joey, will never lose another game. I am so confident in saying that. The White Sox, at least in the next 24 hours, will not lose another baseball game. I will be able to enjoy this undefeated bliss for a whole day. I am thrilled.
Benintendi on pace for 162 home runs. Back to you, Sean.
Chill. You got to chill. Cookie Boy, who writes the newsletters, got to chill as well, predicting 26 home runs. Hey, I can't lie. After the first strikeout by him, I was like, ugh, and I tweeted about it. After the second strikeout by him, I said, oof, I tweeted about it. The third hit was a rope. I think it was like above 95 miles per hour from our guy Benintendi, but it was at somebody. That fourth one was into the crowds. So he shut me up. I got to say, as the hater that I am, I always have to find one out, okay? So, Joey, here's the out, and then we'll get just all positivity. The guy that he hit it off of never pitched in the minor leagues. It's like if Garrett Crochet went in the second round, if Garrett Crochet wasn't Garrett Crochet, if Garrett Crochet couldn't throw 100. It was pretty tough. It was a very questionable call, but that's the Angels. When people say the White Sox are going to be the worst team in Major League Baseball, I myself thought it was going to be them. I did forget about the Angels, and I did forget about the Rockies. They might not, you can even throw the Marlins in there. They might not be the worst team this year. There is hope. They might lose 100 games, but they might not be the worst team in baseball, which is great. And I think the top three teams all get the same odds of the number one pick. So let's just be the third worst team in baseball and then cross our fingers. We didn't win the lottery, but, you know, Carolina was the worst team. There was luck, right? That ended up with the Bears getting Caleb. What am I thinking of? Well, so the Texans end up winning Lovey's last game, and then that gives them the number one overall pick. They trade that to Carolina. Then
Carolina
they get Bryce Young. Yeah. We get the number one pick next year, and then the Blackhawks did it with Bedard and Mario. I'm afraid of Mario. You got to go watch the reaction to the Connor Bedard lottery win for the Blackhawks. Mario Terabasi shook me to my core.
Is that why the hole in the wall in the office is still there? Is that from him?
Absolutely. Kevin M says, don't do that, Sean. Don't do what? Say that they're the greatest team of all time? That the 1927 Yankees has nothing on Austin Slater, Andrew Benintendi, and Lenyn Sosa? I told you guys. James Fegan and I told you guys about Lenyn Sosa's Venezuelan Winter League stats. His 8 home runs were nothing to scoff at. Can he play shortstop? I don't care. He could probably put a man on the moon. I have so much confidence in Lenyn Sosa. We got a lot to talk about. There's some...
Yeah!
Yeah.
Hell yeah!
Hell yes. Play that louder. No, move the live screen. All right, Joey, come on. I'm going to talk you through that. Sound effects is at 50. No, go to 100.
Yeah! Hell yeah!
Thank you.
Yeah!
All right. We gotta figure out your sound drop game. But that was the right time.
Day.
That was the right time. Mercy. All right. I mean, hey, I gotta give a couple shout outs. First off, shout out to Alex Root. You might see my flashy wristband here, all right? You get to see my rate club band. My first ever time being in one of the upper echelon parts of Guaranteed Rate Field, now Rate Field, formerly known as the Cell, U.S. Cellular, formerly known as Comiskey. The Rate Field boxes, marvelous. Wow. I ate like a king, folks, and I had 1, 2, 3, 4 cookies. I tried the M&M ones, but I also tried the oatmeal raisin ones. So I just got to give a shout out to my pal Alex Rude. But I don't even know why. How did I get in there? Oh, but of course.
How did I get in there?
Well, how did I get there? But then also I'm like, what am I trying to connect? The first inning when Sean Burke strikes out, I believe Soler was his first K. I'm yelling my Hawkeroos. I'm screaming. I'm forgetting all about the 121 losses. That is the fun part about baseball, is that it's a different team. There are still some of the same guys. Robert, Benintendi, our guy Vaughn, Corey Lee, somehow Mike Clevenger, who came in the 8th inning. We'll talk about him a little bit later. But it's back, baby. Baseball is back. This is the one day you can't tell me nothing. And my team won 8-1, convincingly. Let's go. White Sox Tom, this is the happiest I've ever seen Sean before. You didn't see me on my wedding day. This is probably the second happiest I've ever been. This is fantastic. This is so much fun. Anyways, all right, let's get into Sean Burke, because that is the true story of today. Not that I had so much fun. Oh, my wife gets frustrated with me because I have ADHD. So I don't know if you could see in this first segment the ping-ponging of me. I swear to God, I wrote down notes and a rundown. I did want to give one more shout out. Shout out to Alex Root for giving me the White Sox experience of a lifetime with the Rate Club Field. But shout out to Herb Lawrence and Vinny Duber. I saw Herb at Lot B. Also shout out to the Chicago Sports Bumps for having their whiskey at Comiskey. I saw our pal, your pal, Herb Lawrence in the parking lot, embraced him, talked him, chatted him up. He's the same Herb Lawrence that you know and love. Great to see him. He's going to be there on Saturday. I know that he always loves running into people, so bug him if you see him on Saturday. But then Alex mentions that once the guys take the field, and I'm just thrilled, I don't care. I'm listening to Thunderstruck, and then the boys are back in town comes in. And Alex promptly notes that, hey, Vinny used to tweet every time they were back at home when they played the boys are back in town, that Vinny would tweet that out. So I also texted Vinny today. And, of course, this is the first postgame show that I'm doing without those two. So I just want to give a shout-out to my guys, because it would be, we're going to have Jared on a little bit later. No, I'm crying. We're going to have Jared on a little bit later. But, obviously, it's different without them. We could have had Jared on anyways. He was, we could have made this a four-man weave. Anyways, let's get into Sean Burke. All right, we're going to @TJ Stats. We are going to look at Sean Burke's excellent numbers. He pitched 6 innings today, allowed 3 hits, 3 strikeouts, and here's the main thing. He did have a hit by pitch. It was against Mike Trout. He tried to throw a fastball up and in. The scariest part is that Mike Trout might be injured. He seemed and ended up being fine, so everything's fine. But 0 walks from Sean Burke. And he retired 14 straight. I thought, because he was only at 73 pitches after 6, he could have gone for a 7th. There's no limit restrictions per the Chicago White Sox beat from Sean Burke, saying that there is no innings restrictions for him for this year. So why not let him feast? I felt like you're probably just pulling him at the right point. They end up winning 8-1. Maybe I'm getting a little greedy, but boy, he was fantastic. He mainly went with his slider and 4-seamer, and those are the 2 pitches that I'm looking at with their grade. His grade was above 50, or it was 52, so it was an average slider for 6 innings. That's really good. 50 grade on that, and then the 4-seamer, 63. His 4-seamer was really fantastic, and then after the 2nd inning, that's when he really settled in with the command and the confidence in that four-seamer. So it was really, really excellent to see this dominance from Sean Burke. We saw it a little bit in September, and it was surprising that he was named the opening day starter this spring. I thought it was going to be Jonathan Cannon. Most thought it was going to be Davis Martin. Really nobody besides Chris Getz thought it was going to be Sean Burke. And for the second straight year, Chris Getz has made a surprising choice for the opening day starter. But after the true opening day start has happened, the right choice. Garrett Crochet was electric. Similarly electric as Sean Burke. I think probably a little bit more electric just because he was hitting 100. That's just so much fun. And his command was better than Burke. So I would say that Crochet had the better opening day start compared to last year. Again, the White Sox lost 1-0 because Skubal was just a hair inch better than Crochet last year. But Burke was phenomenal, just slightly beaten out by Crochet last year. And look what Crochet turned into. I'm not saying that, Sean Burke's going to be a top 5 pitcher in Major League Baseball. But I also didn't think that Garrett Crochet was going to be a top 5 pitcher in baseball. I jokingly comped him to Randy Johnson because he's big. He's a lefty and he's big. And he throws a funny-looking four-seam fastball and a big-ass slider. I don't know who Sean Burke is. I don't think he's Randy Johnson. But he looks like a very, 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 very good starting pitcher. I'm thrilled. Again, he was kind of on the fringe of top 100 lists. I think Keith Law had him at like 104. Kylie McDaniel very similarly. So he was like a fringe top 100 prospect. This isn't super shocking that he came out and dominated. But it also is. Like in the fashion that he did, the fact that he settled down as much as he did, I think you can really write off the first inning as nerves. I mean, I think you could just see the nerves in the Trout at bat alone. He tried to throw a fastball up and into the guy that he was thinking about consistently. His velocity was up and down too. He hit 93.5, he hit 95, he hit 96. He wasn't really as consistent in that first inning. It seemed like he did settle in the second and truly in that third, fourth, fifth, and sixth to the point where I thought he could have kept cruising. So I'm interested to see how Burke continues to develop. Will he be able to truly get that curveball to turn into a death ball? Will he be able to work in a changeup? Because right now he is just a 2-pitch pitcher. That doesn't mean he's unusable as a starter, but is it repeatable? I don't know if this is repeatable, but Joey, if you want to flash that stat graphic one more time, and then you could jump in with your thoughts. The main thing that is, again, insane about Sean Burke is that extension right there. You could see that kind of highlighter orange row where it's 7.1, 7.1, 7, 7.2, 7. He is getting nearly 7 feet of extension on every single pitch. So that pitch is just coming closer every single time than an average MLB pitcher. So you're just having less of a reaction time. And you think already how impossible it is to get a hit in Major League Baseball. A good hitter is going to get a hit in 3 out of 10 every at-bats, right? Sean Burke makes that very, very difficult with his extension and with his release point and the fact that, again, he's throwing 97. Flash that one more time because I just want to see the thing in the top right. You can see the pitch breaks. His arm angle's at 46. That's similar-ish to Crochet. I believe Crochet was 45. Obviously, it's flipped from the right to the left. But the big thing that I look for is that magenta circle, that green circle, and that blue circle. The changeup is not visible to me. It says he only threw 2, so I don't know if this actually pops up on there. Oh, it's kind of on the right side, so whatever. Just forget that I brought up the sinker and changeup. The curveball, if it's like a little bit more to the right, that's where it gets to that death ball area. So that's a pitch that he's definitely going to work on. So when you're looking over the next, hopefully, 32 starts for Sean Burke, he's able to kind of figure out that curveball shape. Because if it is a little bit more to the right on that 0 line, then it will mirror that fastball a lot more. And then that gives it that tunnel, and it also gives that ability to, just kind of fall off. It gives that falling off look to hitters. So he could turn into a true demon. And I don't know if the idea is to get to his slider over to the right as well, because you can see both that green and blue circle are kind of on the fringe of where that magenta circle is on that 0. That 0 is where it gets into death ball, for the curveball. And then on the slider, that's where it gets to, if you remember, Dice K. He had the gyro ball, right? That's where it gets into gyro ball area. That's sometimes not wanted. So I would love to talk to Brian Bannister or Sean Burke about that. I don't think my guy Jared Willis is going to ask that, but we have to take a break. So I'll stop nerding out about Sean Burke. Joey, while we take a break, let me know about some of these comments. Let us know what the people are saying. If you have any thoughts about this White Sox win, let our guy Joey know. We have to take a break, and we want to let you know about our friends over at Sunnyside. Our friends over at Sunnyside. Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your spring. It's a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary, with locations in the city like Wrigleyville and River North, to the suburbs like Champaign, South Beloit. My favorite, Elmwood Park. A little bit of escape to the city. Go get Johnny's beef and visit the lovely, quaint village of peaceful Elmwood Park. If you're starting out, Sunnyside has expert guidance and brands they know you'll love, like Good News and Mindy's. So go check out our friends at sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day and get a hold of this deal. 50% 50 off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day. Only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Bet365. It's a big night, folks, and you can make it even more fun with Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use our code CHGO365, deposit $10, and place a $5 bet to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. It's college basketball tonight. I don't know if I'm allowed to give out picks. The one thing I will say, if you bet on a moneyline team in college basketball and your team goes up 15 points, your moneyline bet cashes out with our friends over at Bet365. I placed a bet over an Oregon, and Oregon didn't even win that game against Arizona. They're playing Duke tonight, but they were up by 15. My bet cashed. So I picked the loser, and I still won over at Bet365. Our friends over at Bet365 are offering new customers $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code CHGO365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Heavy God said, how did we just win? I don't know.
Pitching and home runs, right? Pitching and home runs.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you actually want the real, dorky answer, thanks, Joey. Yeah, pitching and home runs is how they won. They had actually really good defense. Miguel Vargas wasn't a butcher at third base. He made some really decent plays. People were wondering why Jake Amaya was on the opening day roster. I wasn't surprised by this. That's because he plays all right defense. Can he hit? He did today. So let's go, Jake Amaya. You're good in my books for right now. And you know, second base is Lenyn Sosa. If he's hitting home runs, I don't care what defense he's playing. Vaughn is still on the team.
How about that?
I don't know. I have nothing to say other than that. He's actually, that's the one guy that, you know, Andrew Benintendi in his last 60-something games has 13 home runs. The guy that really should be getting my goad here, is that what the word? Goad? Anyways.
Can I fit a Sean Burke question in on you?
Real quick. It should be Andrew Vaughn, not Andrew Benintendi, because Vaughn sucks. Yep. Go ahead. What's your Sean Burke question?
So my Sean Burke question is, game 1 of the season, you talked about the 6 shutout innings. Could he have gone deeper into the game? My question for you is it too early to give a little credit to Will Venable pushing the first right button of the season to keep the young guys' confidence up? Because isn't that what it's all about, kind of building and building and building? You saw a little bit of the nerves. He settled down. You got what you needed out of him. You're up 3-0. You pulled him out of the game.
Yeah, I don't hate that thought process. I don't really want to give too much credit to managers because I don't think managers really matter.
Totally.
I think, you know, we really don't know what would happen if you left Sean Burke in for another inning. I think he would have been fine. I think he would have gotten 7 innings. Then Penn Murphy could have came in the 8th. And then, whatever, Leisure, Clevenger, whoever they wanted to put out, Boozer in the 9th. We don't know how the game plays out, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's more about protection. We'll ask Jared when he joins. I think it's more about protecting the young arm. Real quick, Dan from the 219 makes a great point. Michael A. Taylor, or Michael A. plus defense Taylor. So there you go. Nice one, Dan, working in a very lengthy nickname. Michael A. plus defense Taylor. He's fantastic, and he at least made a very nice play in left field. And when Alex and I saw that to each other, we both remarked, you know who's not making that? Andrew Benintendi. And if Benintendi, again, I think 13 home runs now in his last 60-something games or so, if he's going to be the DH, maybe not against left-handed pitchers, like you say, Kikuchi kind of worked him today. But if he's, the DH against righties, Benintendi could be very decently valuable to the point where if he's got 120-something weighted runs created plus, is he movable? Could we possibly move Andrew Benintendi if they actually put him in the right way?
You're getting pulled over. You're going too fast.
If you actually want to ask about the manager question, I think it's maybe not putting Andrew Benintendi against left-handed starters and then, putting him in the right situations. Because, hey, did you see Slater? Austin Slater's not a home run guy, but first game.
Don't come in his kitchen with that cutter.
Yeah.
Don't come in the kitchen with the cutter.
And you're going up against, and we talked about this in the offseason. First of all, with Dan from the 219, Benintendi's not making that play. So I know it's marginal moves from Getz, but he improved the defense. He improved the floor of this team. The floor was awful last year, and the floor caved in on them, and then the foundation caved in on them, and then the whole mantle of the earth caved in, and then I think what's next is the core. I probably need to go back to 4th grade science at this point, but we just fell into the center of the earth, basically, is my point. Now we're undefeated, the greatest team of all time, and nobody can tell me anything. I love to steal bits. Matt Peck has a beautiful bit on CHGO Bulls where he throws hats. I would throw my hat, but I'm bald. Our friends over at CHGO Cubs, and they are our friends, okay? I know that, Cubs, but hey, they're my coworkers, and I'm also the producer. So if you're mean to them, you might be mean to me at times. But Luke has reality spray for Cody Delmendo whenever he gets out of hand. Honestly, I don't think I need a couple spurts. I don't think I need 1 to 2. I do think I need to steal this bit, and I think I need to steal it pretty profusely. So, Joey, is there a stopwatch there? I'm gonna probably just do this for about a minute because this is just the funnest day I've had. Probably,
you have 57 seconds to go.
3 years of working here, this is probably the most fun since Cease's one hitter where Arise beats him out in the 9th inning. Last year there wasn't really any fun games. There was the Take That Haters from Andrew Benintendi when he walked him off from the Rays, but I don't think we're even doing a post-game show from there. I'm going to stop.
You got close.
Laptop sweat.
You look like you just won in pickup basketball.
You got to commit to the bit. Yeah. Probably didn't need that much spray. It's only one game. But here's the thing, no expert. They get to play the Angels on Saturday and Sunday. If this team is 3-0 on Sunday, I'll be annoying. And you probably think I'm annoying already. I'm thrilled. I'm excited. This is fun. I don't think this is going to be their record come the end of April. They played the Angels, again, probably one of, if possible, a team that's worse than them. But I don't know. Think if you're Andrew Vaughn. Think if you're Luis Robert. Robert was asked a question yesterday. Did you think you were going to be here? And he said, honestly, no. First of all, I'm not a journalist. Some people think I was. Some people think I was also baiting by putting out a quote tweet with that. But the whole point of that was that, hi, Big Dave, was that, let's go. You're spilling water all over the floor, Big Dave.
There's water everywhere.
Yes, sir.
Right.
I'll be right back. I'm distracted. It is our World Series. And also, just think if you're Robert, think if you're Vaughn. These guys had the worst season of all time last year. And they came out there and didn't look like scrubs. Like, hey, they went out there and looked all right. I'm not trying to get crazy, but like the floor of this team is probably what I projected, 51 and 110, because I think that one of the games will get rained out. Maybe their actual floor is 51 and 111. Maybe it's 52 and 110. But I think this team, like a 20 win increase isn't crazy. Like they might have the 28th, 26th rotation in Major League Baseball. Again, you laugh. That's so much better than what it was last year. This bullpen looks okay. I don't think this bullpen's as bad as it was. Like our best bullpen pitcher last year until July was a guy that didn't want to be here. Was a guy that was not listening to the coaching staff. All these guys are desperate to be in the major leagues. Like Cam Boozer, John Schriffen jinxed him before the Logan O'Hoppe home run in the ninth inning, but he looks pretty interesting. Mike Clevenger was throwing 97. The pitch that Soler ends up swinging and missing on the 3-2 count had great ride. It was a ball, and it ends up like up and in to Soler. But that's exactly where you want that fastball. You want to entice him with the high fastball. And that ride was beautiful. So I'm thrilled for at least what we saw from the bullpen, especially Penn Murphy. I think he struck out the side. Saw 3 batters and struck out all 3. Is that good, Joey?
Last time I checked, I think it's all right.
Ask Hawk. Ask Hawk. No, it's right there. It's highlighted.
Yes! Yes! Hell yeah!
Hell yes. Yeah. We got 3 yeses because Penn Murphy struck out 3. Let's go. But yeah, no, Sean Burke is electric. Any more questions, Joey, from me or the chat or from you about Sean Burke? I'm just thrilled. I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting him to maybe be all right. You know, if he gave up a home run, oh well. If he walked a couple, that's expected. But the big thing that I took away from Crochet last year was that he struck out 8 or 9 and didn't walk a single guy. My biggest takeaway from Sean Burke is that he settled in and he was able to get outs not by striking out guys. He was getting weak contact. I think there was one ball that was hit over 97 miles per hour. Like, he did everything that you wanted from a starting pitcher. I think maybe the whiffs could have been a little bit increased. I'll get that number for you. I think he could have had a little bit more swings and misses. That's why you don't see a ton of strikeouts. You only see three strikeouts. But I'm pumped for these guys. I'm thrilled. They just had the worst season of all time. And now they're 1-0 and above 500 for the first time in 2 years. That should be fun. Goblin Man says, let's go.
They did it at Sox Park, too.
Yes,
I mean, honestly, though, you know, you got to celebrate the good wins while everyone's in the park.
They did, and you know what?
It was a nice day.
And it was a nice day. We got to see some friends. This is going to be briefish because there wasn't really anything from this. You had the reunion or the comeback of not only Tim Anderson, who TA got a nice clap when he was first introduced, when they were introducing both teams just because it was opening day. TA got a nice introduction when he was called out fifth because he was fifth in the lineup. And then when he came up to bat, got a really nice ovation. I thought he could have basked in it a little bit more. I think if he took off the helmet and really, gave a little howdy do, I think that he probably could have got a little bit more of a comeuppance. They then gave a tribute video to him in the next inning because he was fifth. So I think they thought he was going to be batting in the second inning. Burke got into a little trouble, so he ends up coming up in the first. But then Yohan Moncada gets a tribute video in at the third because I thought he was injured and just on the bench, but he ends up coming up as a pinch hitter. Apparently there was some more boos when he came up, which is all right. I still don't get the Yohan Moncada hate, but there is some Yohan Moncada hate out there. And then funnily enough, I think Chucky Robinson's an A, but I don't think he's on the roster.
Did he get a tribute video?
No. And you know who didn't get a tribute video? Naperville Nicky. Nicky Lopez comes out in the 8th inning after Jack Ferguson or whoever the hell the Ryan Johnson, the rookie this poor kid that they called up from the second round. Nicky Lopez, of all people, Naperville Nicky, our opening day second baseman from last year, comes in relief for this guy. So just a weird, wacky day of reunions on the South Side. We'll talk more, and Jared Willis will be joining us after the break. We got to let you know about our friends over at Game Time. I love Game Time because if I didn't have Alex Rude bailing me out with these lovely rate field tickets, I would have been using Game Time at the last second to get the lowest price tickets right at the last minute with our friends over at Game Time. Game Time makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets off to kickoff. I don't think they kick off anything. I think first pitch was thrown by Derek Rose. So I think a first pitch, I think is what was meant here. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seats, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLS tickets. That's good. I think you want to buy MLB tickets, though, if you're a baseball fan. I loved using Game Time last year. Whenever I was going into the park, I would pull up my Game Time app, and since they were only selling lower bowl tickets, you could get tickets for $6 right before the game. It's a lovely app, especially when you are a White Sox fan. Last minute deals, you could save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater, and you can also save more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets. With Game Time, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guarantee. Game Time. Thank you, Joey. This is why you produce, because I don't want to do that. I don't want to scream. I gotta save this voice for something, I think.
I'll wreck mine to save yours.
Perfect. Why don't you go check out our friends over at Lucy.co. Our pal, Chris Pankow, raves about the Breakers, their nicotine pouches with a hydrating capsule inside, and you could check out their lovely flavors. You can get all of their flavors. They have 6 of them in a 6-pack, which are apple ice, mango, mint, berry citrus, espresso, and apple cider. You can get in a 2 packs. You can get in a 6-pack. You can get 2 of 3 flavors. So you can get 2 berry citrus, 2 espresso, 2 apple cider. You can also get 2 apple ice, 2 mango, and 2 mint. If you are looking to maybe kick the smoking habit and you're looking to level up your nicotine routine with Lucy, go to lucy.co/CHGO and use promo code CHGO2025 to get 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. Again, that's lucy.co and use code CHGO2025 to get 20% off. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Victor Von Doom, if anyone deserves any booze, it should be Anthony Rendon, no matter what the team. Amen. That's pretty decent. Steven also asked, Steven Nicholas, our past producer, who, of course, is, when I don't think he's working, is working. What's your Andrew Benintendi home run total prediction this year? So what did he finish at last year, Joey? I'm sorry, I should know this off the top of my head, because he didn't end up finishing. Okay. He was 19, because it wasn't a career high, but it was his White Sox high for sure. So he ended up finishing at 20. His career high before that was 20 at 2017. I guess he could hit 20 again. I'd be really surprised if he passes that. I mean, Patrick Norton on ALLCITY.com today, we gave out our 2025 predictions. He predicted 26. I think I ended up saying
it's his 11th season as 19? A pro. He's only gone over 135 games, I believe, 6 times.
I should just look at the website, because my websites are... Yeah, I ended up predicting... I don't think he's going to go to 20 again. No, I didn't predict his 20. All right, this is a terrible segment. I don't know is your answer. All right. Goblin Man says, being there in person was amazing. I think this ballpark might pass on being nice. Oh, wait, scroll on. Oh, yeah, it might pass on being nice, knock on wood. It's not a bad ballpark. Again, it's fine. Again, I don't think the ballpark's the issue. It's the team. The team and the lack of spending on the damn team. But hey, if they're going to be the Milwaukee Brewers of the South, then, the Brewers did a fantastic job today. They're 1-0. I'm very excited for our team. All right, let's get into the honestly no thing. Did I talk about that enough, do you think, Joey, as a producer? The Robert quote of Robert being asked, did he think that he was going to be with the White Sox in 2025? He was asked, honestly no. Jared Willis is joining us, thankfully. We'll go out and just ask him, because he probably talked to Robert today. White Sox win 8-1. Make sure you're hitting that like button if you haven't already. We got 55 viewers. We have 135 watching. Jared Willis is going to be joining us. You can follow him at JWillis, Y's instead of I's, over at X and Blue Sky. You can read his work up at ALLCITY.com. He made predictions over on the Cubs and White Sox side as well. He's joining us on the Hooters Hot Wing Hotline. Hello, Jared Willis. Hello. Okay. Good talk, Jared. All right. So I don't think Jared Willis can hear me. And I think we are going to probably put him in the background. Yeah. For now. Hi, Jared. Can you see me? Oh, boy. All right.
Hey, Sean.
Oh! Hey, we got him. Hey, hi, Jared. How are you? It's great to hear from you.
What's up?
Nothing much. We're thrilled here after this White Sox
I think my
winner.
connection's kind of weak here.
Can you hear me? Okay. All right. It's iffy. Put him in the background. Okay. All right. Luis Robert Jr. was asked by the media before today's game. He was asked yesterday before today's game if he thought that he was going to be here in 2025. He responded, honestly, no. He ended up expounding. He was saying because of all of the rumors, he didn't expect to be here. People thought that it was important that he said that he's excited to still be here. I want to tell you that it's so irrelevant when he's talking to the Chicago media that he's saying he's excited to be here. It might be true. Do you know who was not excited to be here last year? Luis Robert Jr. Do you think he would have been fine being on a different team? Yeah. He was probably looking at rumors like he said. Honestly, did he expect to be here? No. That's not a bad thing. That's just him telling the truth. And I think it's honestly probably a fine thing. Chris Getz is being very open about wanting to trade these players. Chris Getz is openly addressing the media when they ask, hey, are you looking to trade Luis Robert Jr.? He's been fairly open about it. I think he's probably been fairly open to Luis and his agent saying, we're looking for the right deal to move Luis Robert Jr. I think they are probably fine with that for their client because of the state that the Chicago White Sox are in. The best thing about all of this, and the best thing that I've talked about this spring, is that Robert looks comfortable on the plate. I picked him to hit a home run today. He didn't go deep. Oh, well. But I think that he did take a lot of decent at-bats. There were a couple of times where against Kikuchi, he was able to work the count. He was able to get deep into accounts. I think he got into a couple 2-ball counts. The biggest thing was he saw 21 pitches and 3-ball counts in the spring, ended up with 4 home runs. Like, the process looked fantastic for Robert in the spring. It looked great in game 1. I think that it's very fine that Robert is being open and honest with the Chicago media. I didn't think anything that he said yesterday was bad or negative. And the fact that he still wants to be here, in my mind, is fairly pointless because he's still here. Just go look at what Michael Kopech was saying once he left and once he was able to go feel the embrace of a different place. Okay? I'm not saying that Luis Robert is begging out of Chicago, but I think he's aware that change could happen this year. Let's go out to Guaranteed Rate Field and see if Jared Willis's connection is a little bit better on the Hooters Hot Wings Hotline. You look a lot more clear. What's up, Beard? Look at that gray.
There we go. Very go.
Nice.
I went
Looking
to
good. Sounding good.
The trusty iPhone, and we're in business now.
Perfect. Thrilled to have Jared Willis again. You can follow him on X and Blue Sky over at JWillis, Y's instead of I. You could read his work over at ALLCHGO.com. I was talking about Luis Robert Jr. I'm not sure if you talked to him after the game, but did you make of anything from his comments of the honestly no? I just thought that it was good that he was being honest to the media.
Yeah, I think that was kind of my takeaway as well. Just I was a little surprised that he was as honest as he was, that when he came out and said that he didn't expect to still be here, but it's kind of refreshing sometimes to hear a player just speak openly in that way. Because I think that's what we all probably know that he must have thought, and so it's nice to hear him say that. But Sean, like you said, there's also, it's equally possible that he's just, he's surprised to be here and happy to be here for now, but we may hear that tune change as the season progresses, or when the time comes that he is in a different organization, which could be, July or August.
Well, and let's not be unaware of what's happened with Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet talked about getting an extension before he was traded, and then he didn't get traded. Luis Robert Jr. is probably being a good soldier and going out and doing his job and trying to just let Chris Getz do his job. You know, if Luis Robert Jr.'s play speaks for itself on the field, and I think he said his goal is to stay healthy. If he's healthy and playing like he wants to, he'll probably get traded. So, you know, there you go. It's not a big issue. What stood out to you post game? I'm assuming Sean Burke. Man, what a 6 innings from the kid.
Honestly, yeah, and especially the fact that he ran into a little bit of trouble those first couple innings, getting some runners on base, and as I was watching that unfold, I was getting a little nervous for him just because you don't want to see that happen to a guy that's making his first opening day start so early in his career. But what was really impressive was the way that he worked out of that. He worked out of both of those jams and ended up giving the White Sox six scoreless innings. And not only that, no walks. There were some hits, but didn't walk anybody. The pitching staff as a whole looked really good in that regard. I think there was only one walk the whole game. And so that was really impressive. But then the quality of some of those at bats that we saw, it was nice to see Benintendi go yard like that.
Absolutely.
Especially surprising for somebody who we weren't even sure was going to be playing today. And so the fact that he's back in the lineup at all was a good thing. And so good to see that. Austin Slater, that first at bat in the White Sox uniform, that's a great way to start. So this was one of those games that was, from a White Sox perspective, it's really refreshing to see because they just did everything the way that you would want a baseball team to. There wasn't much of anything to dislike about this game.
No, truly, I said that. I mean, defensively, they looked great. Michael A. Taylor made a phenomenal catch out in left field over his head. Vargas looked comfortable at third base. I talked about Amaya being their shortstop. It seemed like that was the reason he was on the team, was because of his defense. I mean, it was a pretty all-around good game outside of Cam Boozer's slider that didn't slide to Logan O'Hoppe, but, oh well.
Yeah, it's and I'm glad you mentioned Vargas too, because after he looked last season and as lost at the plate as he looked at times, coming out of that really nice spring training, and then for him to get 2 hits today at the top spot in the order, that's another thing that I think could get lost in all of the good that happened today. It was nice to see that.
First leadoff third baseman hitter for the White Sox since 1966, Miguel Vargas.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time. At least there was one in the 125-year history of the Chicago White Sox. Let's just real quick on Sean Burke. I wanted to mention this. I didn't think there was enough whiffs for him. Again, only 3 strikeouts, 8 whiffs on the game, 23% whiff rate. You'd want that to be a little bit higher from a starter, but the main thing that he was able to do, 14 called strikes, 7 called strikes on his curveball, 30% called strike plus whiff percentage. That is major league average. He was brilliant. Did Venable talk after his first win? I mean, what was the thoughts from Skipper after his first win?
Yeah, no, he was excited. He said he got a little bit of a Gatorade shower afterward.
Nice.
As we were waiting for him to come out for his post game talk, you could hear the locker room was pretty boisterous in there. But yeah, he was happy. I mean, getting that first win as a manager, and to do it on day one like this, to get that one under his belt right away, he was very happy. But yeah, spoke mostly about just the overall game that he saw from his guys. Just as we were just talking about, that was where most of his focus was. He highlighted Sean Burke for sure, and so yeah, just what a wonderful opening day for the White Sox.
Beautiful. I mean, honestly, maybe a little bit more sun would have been nice, but again, beggars can't be choosers. The White Sox won a baseball game, so I'm thrilled. I brought this up, and I hosed myself down, honestly, for even thinking about it. When we were asked today for the website to predict the record for the White Sox in 2025, you said 55 and 107. Joey said 50 and 112. Patrick Norton said 45 and 117. I said 51 and 111. After today, I thought, especially with the defense, the floor has been raised with this team. Is this because do the White Sox look this good because they're playing a team that might be on their level like the Angels? Or is this a team that could possibly flirt with 70 wins.
So
Maybe. Wait, no. Is this a team that can lose 99 games?
Right. I feel a little more. I feel a little
My
more
bad.
comfortable with that. But I will say, I hate to all the positive talk. I hate to do this, but it was the Angels the White Sox. There was one of the teams that they won the season series against last year. So even as they were losing 121 games, they still managed to win the season series against the Angels. And so there is probably something to playing against a team like them to start out. But at the same time, if you play against anybody the way that you played today, you're going to be hard to beat. So that's my biggest takeaway is, Angels or not, it's not like the White Sox made a bunch of mistakes and got away with it.
Right, or at least you're going to be competitive, right? I mean, let's
Right.
at least have this team. We scored 8 runs. Again, I mean, how many times did they score 8 runs in 2024? I think I could probably count it on my own 2 hands. So I will probably do that after you leave. But yeah, no, I mean, this was a thrilling game for anyone that watched White Sox baseball in 2024. The one thing I wanted to bring up with you, Dominic Fletcher gets DFA'd. Oscar Colas gets DFA'd. Jake Eder gets DFA'd. I think the biggest 2 are probably Fletcher and Eder because they are part of trades. Traded for Mena, traded for Jake Berger. Which of the 3 sticks out the most to you?
I think, those 2 are definitely. It's hard to see that when that happens, where you trade one of your guys and then by the time the next season starts, the guys that you got in return, you've already DFA'd those players, because then it does end up feeling like you lost that trade or you gave that player away, like in Berger's case. But for me, Oscar Colas, I mean, I think we saw enough of him to kind of know what kind of a player he was. I hate to say it, but it just felt like there was a lot of potential in there, but for a few different reasons, it just wasn't going to get realized. And so it's a hard decision to make with a player who I think is as potentially talented as he is. So it wasn't super surprising to see that in his case, but still, in a way, just kind of feels a little disappointing.
I looked it up. The White Sox scored 8+ in 2024 9 times.
9 times?
9 times. So they have 100% success rate. I expect them to score 8+ runs on Saturday and Sunday. I think the one thing that probably with those trades, like Colas, I feel like he still never got like the true chance. Like that's the thing that shocks me, was like he was the opening day right fielder for them in 2023, and still it feels like he really never got the true chance to be the right fielder. So I think there's something that maybe a little bit left on that. So like that one felt a little surprising, but also it didn't, because he was terrible in Charlotte. Like if he was tearing it up in Charlotte when he was being sent down,
right,
and putting the pressure on the White Sox, then maybe, just maybe, I thought Fletcher could have been saved a bit because he was so positive defensively last year. But it seems like, they're going to give it a shot and see if he just passes through waivers, because he probably, isn't impressing anyone else.
Right, and that's, in his case, for sure, that's probably the play there is he passes through waivers, he accepts the assignment, and then you kept him in the organization, and you do have a chance down the road, if need be, you can add him back to your 40-man roster, and then, he's back in the majors. So he's not necessarily gone, but yeah, again, I think when you make a trade and some of the players that you get in return and you're DFAing them like this as soon afterward as they are, it feels a little bit like a loss.
My favorite fun fact about Jake Eder is that he is older than Juan Soto. The one question I have for you about Jake Eder, does this now effectively close the book on Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams? Because that seemed to be the one thing that they could still have been judged on. Maybe Andrew Benintendi can save a little bit of some, and I don't know. I mean, maybe just maybe he turns into something positive, but that contract, maybe it doesn't look like the worst in franchise history. Do you think this is effectively closes the book on Rick and Kenny?
I think that's fair to say. It does feel like now you've really fully moved on from that era of White Sox baseball. So, Yeah, more or less. There's, maybe a few lingering pieces, but yeah, I feel comfortable saying that.
Yeah. And hey, Corey Lee says it too. Corey Lee, it's a new team, a new manager. Fans were unbelievable today. It felt like a new year. That's the kind of the moral of the story in here. Flip the page. It's the 2025 Sox, and now we are ready to rock. So let's go. Shout out to Merck for tweeting that, and so I could read it there. But thrilling game today. Any final thoughts from the locker room, Jared?
A lot of happy guys. I mean, guys very satisfied with what happened, and honestly, after walking into that locker room after many games last season where the mood was much different, it's refreshing to see that, just for guys that really went through it last year.
How do you think Nicky Lopez feels? That guy has to pitch against this team. He's like, you guys couldn't have done this last year? Like, I mean, that's the funniest story out of all of the reunions. The Tim Anderson reunion, the Yo-Yo reunion, the Nicky Lopez one's the funniest.
Then poor Nicky Lopez comes out there, and Benintendi joked about the vert on his fastball and whether or not he was tipping his pitches. But yeah, talk about the reunion that he didn't expect he was going to be having. At first, when he was walking out on the mound, there was one of the guys in the press box was like, he's not walking out there to pitch, is he? And then sure enough, I was like, I think he is. And so here we go. Opening day, position player pitching, and not a position player for the White Sox.
Right, and that's the biggest win of all of them, is the other team is throwing out the position player. And again, like just with the Angels, the guy that they're throwing out before Nicky Lopez hadn't even pitched in the minor leagues, let alone the major leagues. Like, what are they doing? They did that with Shanuel, their first baseman.
Why send him out there for that second inning? I was really confused by that. It still doesn't make sense to me, but...
Are you in on the Lenine Sosa train, or are you giving that up to that being the second inning of that kid's career?
I'm going to chalk that one up to that, but you know what? For the sake of the optimism of opening day, this is Lenine Sosa's breakout year.
For the sake of optimism, absolutely, but also for the sake of me being a hater, if you're going to claim it for Lenine Sosa, I get to claim it for Benintendi. So there you go. Benintendi has 0 home runs on the year. Anyway, that's Jared Willis, our CHGO and Cubs and White Sox beat writer. You can go check him out at J Willis and read his work all over at ALLCITY.com. Thank you very much, Jared. What are you smoking on the way home?
You know what? We are cigar free today. It's a rare thing for me. Left the house in a hurry and just tragically left the cigar behind.
Yeah, you'll probably get home and see him. Like that.
Right.
Knowing you, I don't think you'll miss the chance.
Exactly.
Enjoy your night. Appreciate your work. Thank you, Jared. And make sure you read his work over at allchgo.com. That's going to end it for the CHGO White Sox post-game show presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it is never ordinary. New customers, when you sign up with our friends over at Bet365, you use code CHGO365. You get when you bet $5, you place a bet of $5, you get $150 of bonus bets, whether that bet wins or loses. So go put $5 on the Duke money line, and you're going to get $150 in bonus bets, whether Duke wins or loses. All right, that's what we're going to do. Or maybe you just go put it on the White Sox to win on Saturday. Who cares? They're never going to lose. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the CHGO Sports Channel. The Bulls have a pregame show. They're probably going to win 150-0. Chicago's on fire. Let's go. See you on Sunday.
We all silly like the mayor.